mothers or women in general, I don't think that we are included enough or involved enough in the systemic change or
Yep.
systemic decision.
Hi everyone, welcome to Impact Voices, an impact-focused podcast brought to you by Impact Playground. Here, we celebrate local change makers making impacts on our communities around the world. In each episode, we'll delve into the journey of local change makers, exploring their passions, challenges, and triumphs. I'm your host, Juara Elias, and I'm thrilled to share the inspiring stories to spark more actions that transform communities. We'll also discuss how you can support their work and join the movement toward creating a more impactful world. In this first episode, we are going to have a chat about BuIbu Baca Buku, a community-led organization in Indonesia that works with Indonesian moms to address climate change through literacy and critical thinking. I'm now with its founder, Puti Puar, a mom, illustrationist, and also a community leader that has shaped BuIbu Baca Buku from its inception until today. Now, get ready to be inspired, informed, and empowered. Nice to meet you, Puti Puar. How are you?
I'm great. Hello, Elias. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really an honor and also a pleasure for me to have you today. Probably for opening our podcast, would you like to introduce yourself and would you give us a little bit context about what is BuIbu Baca Buku and the journey so far?
Okay, please let me know if I talk too much.
Okay.
But my name is Puti Puar. You can call me Puti. I'm a mother of two. I am 35 years old. Actually, yes, as you mentioned, I'm an illustrator. I'm also a content creator, but at the same time, I'm also leading my community called BuIbu Baca Buku. In Indonesia, it literally translates as Mothers Read Book because, as you say, I love reading, and I would like to share the same spirit to the other moms because actually for BuIbu Baca Buku, it was based on two important belief that I have. The first one is that mothers, especially in Indonesia context, is usually the first teacher in the family. It's like the heart of the family, and I mean, mothers usually they have a lot of decisions to make from the small one to the big ones. Like, for example, with this budget that I have, what kind of food that I would like to cook for my family so they can get the best nutrition they can have, or even like the big decisions like where should I send my children to school, should it be boarding school, should it be like public school, it is really important decisions, right? And the
Yep.
second one is that I believe that if you want to make your children's read, then you have to be the they have to have the kind of role model at
Yep.
home. I think reading or others like discussing, writing, it should be something fun. And you can just tell your kids to, yeah, you have to read this book. Don't watch YouTube. You
Yep.
just should read the encyclopedia instead without sharing that it is actually a fun activities to do. So yeah, there those two believe moms as decision maker in the family and also for themselves, and the second is the role model in the family.
All right. So it's like mom as a role model to to kind of like start the literacy habit within the family. So I just know that recently you were actually pivoting from literacy program among mothers to now go to climate literacy, right? Can you tell me more about it? So why mom and climate? What exactly the program about?
Okay, so actually, BuIbu Baca Buku is not like pivoting per se because it still held our literacy usual program like book discussion that is non-climate related. But yes, as you mentioned, we have this year 2024,
Yep.
we started our climate literacy for mothers program, which actually it is a program that is supported by Climate Works Foundation. The spirit is that mothers or women in general, I don't think that we are included enough or involved enough in the systemic change or
Yep.
systemic decision like policy making process and other, yeah, systemic
Mm.
changes in general. But actually we got like the direct impact, but sometimes we just don't realize that. For example, if the price of rice and it raises due to the climate change, we are the first one to feel the impact. Oh my god,
Yeah.
the price is spiking. Okay, now I have to, yeah, you see, you have to be really efficient in cooking and stuff like that. And also, maybe when we are talking about energy
Mm.
security, you can imagine that if blackout happens, then those the first one who got like very panic is usually the mothers, right? Because oh my god, my children have to go to school tomorrow, I have to iron their uniform, my husband have to, yeah, you see. In short, it's about we feel the impact, but then sometimes we just don't realize that it is actually related to climate change. So the climate literacy means that how we can actually comprehend that climate change, climate issue is
Mm.
actually really close to us, and we should be involved. But how to be involved is that we need to understand it better, right?
Yep.
We must not think that climate is, oh my god, this is a scientific issue. It is something that I'm afraid to talk about because I feel so insignificant, because I feel I cannot relate to that. That's what we would like to address. We would like mothers to be more confident because they know more about climate. So yeah, we want to connect climate not only as a climate, a scientific issue or something that is very far, but it is something that can be relate to even daily life level
Yep.
for mothers.
Yep. Yep. I think you brought up something that is really important, that climate tend to be seen as something that is too distant or too far from our real lives. And you also mentioned that actually moms or women in general actually the one that is mostly affected, because as they have this kind of like responsibility to taking care of their family, but uh, all changes in climate affecting how they can like navigate their roles, and also how they actually sustaining the family, right? So how exactly these moms or like these women being involved, and what is the outcome that you're looking for from this program?
Yes, okay. So the programs, the activities that we do within this program is the basic idea is to again connect the climate issue with the daily lives issue that is more relatable for women. How we can talk about climate without mentioning climate so that it would not be intimidating. For example, during Ramadan, we talk with ustazah, a religious leader, women religious leader, how we can feel, how we can be content with our life,
Yep.
because it's like the root of overconsumption, right?
Yep.
When we're talking about overconsumption, it is also related to mothers because,
Yep.
especially among the middle class, mothers, oh, we need to buy more clothes because it is Idul Fitri, because we would like to go for holiday. So basically how we can connect it with daily issues. We also talk with we also collaborate, for example, with Project Multatuli, an Indonesian
Mhm.
media. We talk about, is it really true that the rice prices spike due to climate change?
Mhm.
Is it only the weather that we should blame, but how can the government can navigate it better for us? This is also related to our children's futures, right? So we gonna make a webinar again, in short, we introduce that actually climate change conversation should be mainstream and embedded into our daily conversation. We also have this climate module 101 where you can access it in buibubijak.id. So it kind of like climate literacy 101 for mothers, where mothers can access, but it's not, again, it's not climate per se, but we talk about children's health, because I think it's like the concern of most mothers, right? And it is really related to the climate. For example, if our air is polluted, then most likely our children is kind of prone to get sick,
Mhm.
especially respiratory problem, and then it will kind of has something to do with their growth. So there are six topics in the modules that mothers can try to see what is the connection between climate and their life. And also, we are preparing children's book. The
Mhm.
basic idea is to touch the climate issue, but in very basic level. So when the mothers do the read aloud, read the book for their children, they also kind of get the basic information. And we hope that there will be discussion between the moms, the children and the moms, because usually children, when they read a book, they will ask, right,
Yep, yep.
why is that, why is this? So there are maybe the three things that I can tell.
I think this is pretty exciting. I can see the correlation between why mothers need to be engaged in this climate literacy or climate movement in general. As you mentioned, you already mentioned about intersection between actually there's a correlation between the climate and also the health, and that's actually kind of like the main role of moms that actually taking care of the health of the family, right? And you also mentioned about the preparing the next generation to understand about climate through the reading sessions that the moms will do within their family, right? So this is kind of like a program that is close to the community itself, right? I mean, like most climate related programs, I see that sometimes it's too distant from the communities, that is too high level to renewable energy or like a new power plant whatsoever, but this is really touching the base of communities. And I mean, like, I see that usually it's rarely funded. So, you mentioned before that you've been funded by the Climate Works Foundation. Right? Can you tell me more about it? How how you how you reached this point where you got funded, uh, or was it easy for you to get funded for all your programs up until now?
Okay, I think this would be quite. There are a lot of information that I will unpack.
Yep.
But I think, in short, sorry. We got funded by Climate Works Foundation for this climate literacy for mothers program. We kind of pitched our pilot program, which is um, like a mini program of climate literacy for mothers, where we do a book review competition and also a series of webinar with the same idea that we would like to talk about climate without mentioning climate, relating it to the daily life. And so first we do a pilot project first, which was self-funded, and with a lot of power of collaboration. I asked a lot of speakers for pro bono, would you do this for the
Yep.
community? We have this kind of audience. If you care about the community and the climate, would you do this for free for us? I will share you the report and stuff like that. So maybe that can be a point for a community that is doing things without proper funding. We can ask,
Mm.
you see, speakers for pro bono, but You have to be really transparent about it. But then, okay, the pilot project went well. We reached like thousands of people, and the engagement was, we get quite a lot of findings, not funding,
Funding.
findings
Mhm.
that, well, actually, mothers still see climate as an intimidating issue. We got some findings there, and then that's what we pitched to works. And it's not easy because to get to have this opportunity to pitch itself is so hard, right? It's not something that you would
Yep.
just, hi, Climate Works, I have this pilot project, would you fund me for for another 3 years or not? So it's not easy. But we were so fortunate that we have someone that we know in personal level. But still, it's not enough, right, to convince that person, because when it comes to money, then you have to have this accountability. So I think it was very fortunate that at that point we are ready to, we have everything properly documented. Even though it is self-funded, we have everything properly documented. We have this financial report. We're gonna have this, yeah, basically every administration, yeah, what you need in administration process was there. And then I kind of pitch, and yeah, they said that, okay, we love the idea. It's a very touching idea that you would love to, because it is very important that we make like this, for example, energy transition, a just process, right? We need to involve a lot of stakeholders, not only the shareholders, to be involved in the systemic change. So, okay, we like your idea, but can you scale this up to like 3 years of program?
Mhm.
That's what they asked. And we did a lot of administration process in the background this year. But basically, that was not easy, but yeah.
Right. Wow, that's quite a journey. I think I picked up three things at least from what you have just shared, right? So first, actually, you you've been a lot of self-funding activities before you get funded, right? So kind of like most or like many community movements or like initiatives that you've done with BuIbu Baca Buku used to be self-funding. And then you also mentioned about operationalization in terms of like how you kind of like improving your organization management processes and all administrative documentation. I also picked up about trust from funders like Climate Works Foundation that actually when they are convinced with your ideas, they're not just giving what you just asked, but they actually challenge you to can you make this into a 3 years program? They kind of like scale up. They with the trust they kind of like scale up your initiative as well, right? So I want you to explore more around that, right? Especially from the self-funding one. Was it really hard to build your organization up until now when you were actually mostly funding them by yourself in the past?
Yeah, I have to say yes, because you see, when you say that social movement, and we say that, okay, we can ask for volunteers. Volunteers are like, a lot of people are interested in our movement. Oh my god,
Mhm.
literacy is so important, I would like to be in touch with the community and stuff like that. But then when it comes to organization management itself, you really need someone who are committed, right? Like, because there are a lot of things that don't spark joy during the
Exactly.
process. In the change making process, we have to admit that we have to reply the email, we have to like set up those calendars, we have to really maintain our database, we
Yep.
have to make reports. They are things that most of the volunteers would not like to do. They would like to be engaged in the program, like meeting the people. But for those kind of administration process, which is a dirty laundry, we really need some kind of commitment. And if you don't have any fun, it's quite hard to get the commitment, right? Because I
Yep.
have those volunteers. My team were all volunteers at the first place. But yeah, we have to I have to, as a leader, I have to say yes when they say that, Oh, I would like to do that, but it will be my last priority because I have to make a living myself, right? I cannot pay them, so they really have to a lot of things to prioritize on the first place.
Yep.
And those, I think that's the hardest part. I have to say to get people to commit with the daily activities process, and also because if we want to be accountable, then we have to do the audit, right? We have to
Yep.
pay the auditor. We
Auditor.
have
Yep.
to pay the tax consultant. We have to pay all those, and to be self-funded, I kind of like, okay, I can, what do you call it? I can like kind of save some in some months. Okay, then we
Yep.
can pay for the registration for the legal being to be a legal institution, because it quite like some money for at least for something that I don't know, will I get investment in return? I don't know. Yeah. So I think that's hard, but then as I kind of kept it as a really small thing,
Hmm.
and I do a lot of things myself, like doing the design. Okay, I can do that. Usually, I just contact my friends. I think that's also a perk of being a content creator myself, because I kind of have this. I know some people,
Network.
and yeah, I have this network, and we kind of self I can respect them, and they can respect me. So yeah, okay, I can go pro bono for you. Things like that would be very beneficial. Yeah, but again, it also restrict. I mean, like the lack of funding also restrict how we would like to do our activities. So
Hmm.
our activities are mostly online, because
Hmm.
they then you don't have to pay like for the food. You don't have to pay for the volunteers transportation fee and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow. That's really insightful. At least for me, like I do understand actually most of that actually you build it through your self sacrifices lah for simple, right? So you taking out money from your own pocket, and you relied with on a lot of volunteers that you need to keep their spirit alive, but when it's lacking of funding, then you cannot do that, and that's why funding is actually needed to actually fuel the organization. And you also mentioned that actually from the inception, and also for your organization legal on incorporation as well, you taking it out from your own pocket, right? So yeah, that's one of the self-sacrifice that I would say that not many people out there that have like well intention may have the well funding to start with, right? So it is really interesting. And you so you mentioned about when the Climate Works Foundation come in and fund your initiative, this climate literacy initiative, right? So how is it like now? How is it like for you as an organization, also as a community leaders receiving this funding? How is it like in managing your organization? Has it impacting your organization that now you have like more fuel to actually do more, and also to reach more communities? And do you think that this kind of funding that Climate Works Foundation give to organizations you will be really beneficial for your work and also for the communities?
I think it's very beneficial because it addressed the issue that I just mentioned,
Mhm.
for the commitment of the team. Because I think for doing all the administration process, financial report, I think everyone needs to be financially compensated, right?
Yep.
To commit and yeah, to do all those hard works. So that's the main point. I think when the fund came, we can properly pay. I don't say that it is proper yet, but actually we can give some money as like financial compensation for the team that run everything in the background. That's the first and the main point. And we can say that yeah, now you are really should commit to this organization. Fortunately, they do. And also in terms of networking, I have to say that asking people doing things for pro bono doesn't really come for free, because usually in return they will ask me, right? I mean, like, when I ask, can you and your community, let's say, be a speaker for free, but in return, yeah, you will be like featured and blah blah. But when there comes the time when they kind of need a speaker, then I usually do it for free for them. You
Yeah.
see, yeah,
That's
yeah. I don't say that it is bad. It is very good, but it is actually, and I also like the idea of collaboration which is not transactional.
yep.
I like the idea, but I also think that people should be fairly compensated as well
Yep.
for their time and their knowledge, right? Because when they come, they kind of give you knowledge, and I think it should be properly compensated. And we can do that now with the funding, and we can also have this kind of, like, okay, because we're gonna pay you, we have these points that we would like to ask, uh, can you also share some like presentation, or can you share the slide? We can ask for things like that. And because it based on my experience, like last year when we did things pro bono, we asked someone that can be like a judge for the book review competition,
Mhm.
and then she just didn't show up at all.
Really?
She ghosted me, but what can I say? It's a pro bono, it's a friendship thing, it's just a gentleman agreement. I couldn't ask for commitment from those kind of things. So such thing happens, and it helps a lot. Also, we can also give some gift for our volunteers, like, oh, you can get t-shirt, you can get, because I have to admit, previously we couldn't afford that, even
Mhm.
t-shirt. It was so but yeah, like compensating our volunteers, and also making event that is not online, that when we have to pay the venue, now we can get the money. And also for the children book, that was very game changing, the funding, because we can properly pay the illustrator and the writer, so we can get the rights to publish it for free.
Wow. Yeah. So much things that you've been doing since you got the funding, right? So it's really so. So I think there's a correlation that funding will sparks more commitment, right? So you mentioned about commitment for people to do to create more impacts on the communities, and if you can tell something to the funder, or like to donors out there, I mean, like to more donors out there, like what exactly that you want to say to them so that they can actually support more local community based, or like community organization like yours, and what exactly that you want to say to them?
First of all, I would like to admit that there's also limitation from the donor side,
Yep.
because you have to, because they will get audited, right?
Yes.
They have to work with like a legit communities or
Yep.
legit institution. um so wouldn't blame them, and they gonna, okay, I have this money, then I will give you like just this tiny small amount of money that you need. They cannot do things like that, right? We as a community also have to be able to scale up our initiative. So I would like to acknowledge that problem first. But then, on my side of being a community, because I also got a lot of, I mean, like, I am in a community of community that is basically everyone cares about education. So
Mhm.
there are like communities of teacher, communities of literacy, and stuff like that. And what I mentioned as administrative procedure was also a barrier for everyone to make it like a legal institution, because again, as what I mentioned, doing financial report doesn't spark joy for anyone, I guess. So it was like a big barrier to get funding. It's like a chicken and egg situation, right?
Yep.
To be accountable, you have some fun, you have to get some money, but then to get some money, you also have to be accountable. So yeah, that's also something that Maybe donors, maybe they kind of know it, maybe they don't. Maybe just think that, oh, you guys, community are not responsible for your money, but well, we would like to be, but we kind of lack of resources as well, especially regarding the commitment, right? I don't know if I have any kind of ideas, but I think for maybe the government side, a lot of communities do a lot. They really reach people out there. They really reach them, and a lot of them are undocumented. They just do because they love. They love. They would like to empower their community, but they are not documented. They are not properly compensated. So that's why they're mostly sporadic. So they, yeah, kind of here and there. But I don't know, for government, if you want to make those communities to be more empowered, maybe help them to be legitimized to be a legal institution, because there are a lot of learning there. And I think from the donor side, it's well, I know your limitation, but maybe you can do some grant to an institution, then you do the re-grant, that institution do the re-grants, an institution that really know the communities, maybe who are not legal, but they really do something, and they really are accountable for the impact that they make. Because as for me, based on my experience, we also do the re-grant from the funding from Climate Works. We do a re-grant for Read Aloud Indonesia community, which are based in all over Indonesia, but not all of them are official because they're just movement. Yeah, so they kind of help because we will be like a bridge to for the accountability, but then we also know them who will make an impact with that money.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
I think it is really makes sense, right? When you mentioned that actually many of those who actually have a well intention to create impact on the ground, they don't have the capacity to at least what you said about to incorporate their movement or like initiative to be a legal entity. And you mentioned also about that actually it's kind of like you mentioned about limitation of from funder that they may not be able to fund a good initiative underground due to
Yeah.
governance, the governance, and also the audit limitation that they have.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you also mentioned about actually these initiatives or like these local communities, they may not have the skills or like the capacity to 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 be more accountable, right? So it's something that need investment in terms of like capacity building or like investment in terms of funding for funders or like donors to actually help this local initiative to step up. And you also mentioned about the role of policymakers to nurture the local initiatives that actually reach broader communities out there, but they often hindered by their legal entity registration. And you mentioned that that local policymakers or like local government can actually help them to upgrade their organization as well, right? I think that totally makes sense because like yeah, like when funder want to fund something, they need to have an evidence, right, legal registration and so on and so forth. And also that's the site where the local organization can take to improve the organization, and probably uh like another other actors in the ecosystem can also support them to step up to that level. So I think my last question to you will be like, what would you like to share? Like, what would you like to share to other local community initiatives or other local change makers? What would you like to share with them?
Well, first of all, I don't think that every community would like to scale up, right? mean, like some people just, oh, no, 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 I don't want to do the audit and financial report. I just want to make this like a movement. It's sporadic, but it's okay. It sparks joy for me. And I think, well, that's okay. But to be like really consistent and because to be a change maker, you also need to be able to fund yourself as a change maker. So you need to think if you would like to make your movement sustain, if you would like to make a continuous impact, then maybe it's time to think about how we can scale up in terms of organization. And I have to say it's not easy, because you kind of need this kind of management skills. You kind of need some money on the first place. But based on my experience, it is a really a journey of growth for me, because there are a lot of things that I learned because I have to like human resources, audit, tax, and stuff like that. And um, yeah, it's a learning journey for me, and it is worth it. I
Mm.
think personally, uh, the processes might be painful, but it really helps when you get the fund. If you get funded, then you can do more and you can really make more impacts and even on deeper level. You because you can make a consistent program, right? You can do continuous program. You can hire a professional to consult. You can hire professional. It will really amplify your good intention. Yeah, so I think it is worth it, but yeah, it's not easy. I have to admit.
Wow, thank you so much, Mbak Putri. I think this is really spot on, right? You mentioned about kind of willingness and also the availability room to grow from the change maker itself, right? So it's required for them to have the room to grow, for them to always have this continuous learning mindset, so that they want to they can uh, scale up their intervention or like their impacts. And I also highlight something that is really important, that you mentioned, that actually not every initiative, not every change makers need to scale. Sometimes you just need to address the issues on the ground, and sometimes you don't need to scale to go to another region or whatsoever, right? And you just want to address some issues and also to sustain there. I think this is really important, and I've also heard many things around this, that actually funders or like any other ecosystem builder, you don't need to force the change makers to grow or like to scale. Sometimes what you need to do actually just to support them to to sustain their initiatives. I think that's something that is really important as well. Thank you so much, Mbak Putri. This is really insightful conversations. I learned so much about your work, and I'm really excited to see more outcomes that you're creating through this new program, the climate literacy program. And thank you so much. I hope we can inspire more change makers to grow, and also to inspire other funders as well to put trust to local community movement or local community led organization to reach the grassroots communities that they serve. Thank you so much, Mbak Putih. Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
so much for having me.